Hello, you're all very welcome to Along the Line, brought to you by CK Streaming for part 2 of Tipperary's greatest 15 since 1987 to the present day. Certainly the 7 that were picked last week have created plenty of talking points during the week. All the boys are back with us again. Gerard, many people disagreeing with you since last week.
I couldn't disagree with any of it anyway. I mean, I'm very happy with the 7 that's picked. I think they're great players in their own right, and they've all deserved it. To me, they've done what they had to do for Tipperary, So,
right, we'll go to midfield, lads. This is going to be a hard one. We've had some great players in midfield. Obviously, with Brendan Maher got back centre back. So, looking at starting at 87, Colin Bonner, Joe Hayes, Declan Carr came on after that. Aidan Ryan gave time in midfield. Brian O'Mara and Mullinahone. Going on to later, Shane McGrath, James Woodlock, Mikey Breen, Noel McGrath, Tommy Dunn. So, plenty to pick from there, lads. Ger, who's your first pick in midfield?
The first pick is Noel McGrath. To me, again, maybe I don't know. He's the best sticks man I've ever witnessed, and I'm watching hurling a long time. He's passed maybe from 5 yards, or from 25 yards, or from 30 yards, where just everything was bang on. He'd open you like a tin of sardines. He was. Now I know maybe probably his physical side wasn't his best, but when he had the ball in his hand, he was a genius. And I've seen him through club and county,
Yeah, nobody will ever forget that hand pass he gave Lar in 2010.
You know what I mean? This was a thing that they did in training, and it was Lar's idea. But, giving an idea and getting it to work is another thing. But, I mean, better man to do it than Noel McGrath. Outstanding hurler. Outstanding.
Liam, who's your first midfielder?
Yeah, I agree with Ger. Noel McGrath, no relation, unfortunately. But and then plays a lot more as well, so we won't mention that. But what a phenomenal hurler! What as Ger said, an unbelievable sticks man. The skill level between him and Brendan Maher and a few other lads there, the skill level we see on a regular basis, and they make the game look so easy. They mentioned quarterback the whole time. This guy is unbelievable. He can just spray the ball everywhere and anywhere. And you mentioned the hand pass to Lar. But we've seen Noel McGrath do that about 100 times in his Tipp career. You know what I mean? And the amount of games he plays as well. And even this year, he probably wasn't at his best. And even against Galway, he probably didn't have the greatest start. He still hit 4 points. You know what I mean? And they're saying he didn't have a great game. 4 points and have a poor game just shows you what quality of a player he is. I always wanted to see him midfield for Tipp. He played in the league against Kilkenny in the league final there one year, down in Nolan Park, midfield, and he gave an exhibition. And they never had a midfield after that for a long time. And then Sheedy came back in 2019, put him out midfield, and the rest is history. And in my opinion, he should have been player of the year in 2019. I thought he was the best player between him and Brendan Maher all year. He was the best player all year, and Noel is my number 8. Yeah.
Man name. I'm beginning to like you.
Sean, I'm well on.
Noel McGrath as well. Just on about the physicality about it, I think Kilkenny tried to target him in 2019, or at least they attempted to anyway before. I think about 6 or 7 minutes into the game, I think he gave a massive shoulder, knocked one of them clean flat, which showed that he wasn't going to be bullied. Man of the match. His 2 man of the matches against Wexford and Kilkenny in 2019 was probably the 2 best games by an individual in a row I've ever seen. I've only been watching for 25, 26 years, but I've never seen 2 games by one player that he did everything, and he was on the ball, I think, more than anybody else. And I've never seen a player with quicker hands. There must be a spring in his hand; they're sewed in or something, because I've never seen a ball to leave a hand as quick and go over the bar. He just knows where the posts are, and he's able to get it out of his hand. A brilliant hurler, one of the best stickmen I've ever seen in any county, and I think he nearly even deserves more than 3 All-Stars, I think.
Sean, who'd you go for your first midfielder?
I've gone with I think he was a great stalwart for Tipp hurlers out throughout the years. I know he was a bit early in my time watching him, but he was a great stalwart for Tipp, and he was really powerful in midfield. So I've gone with Tommy Dunne at 8.
Tommy Dunne at 8, yeah. So 3 for Noel McGrath. It looks like Noel McGrath is going to wear number 8 jersey. Going on to 9. Sean, who'd you go for 9?
Yeah, I've gone with a lad that many people don't give the recognition he deserves, I think, and that's Shane Mcgrath. He's been an absolute powerhouse in midfield for Tipp for over the last, you could say, from when he retired back, he rarely had a bad game for Tipp in midfield. He was always seemed to get stuck into the action, and he always gives his best for Tipp, and he set his heart on his sleeve. And like another type of Brendan Maher, every time he went out for Tipp, it was like his last game. And that's what you want to see. Like himself and James Woodlock in 14, they were really a driving force to getting Tipp back to the All-Ireland. So I picked Shane Mcgrath at 9.
Yeah, so I was just talking about Woodlock there along with him. The two boys scored 6 points between them in the 14 semi-final against Cork. They gave an exhibition that a lot of people don't realise that Shane Mcgrath never played minor hurling with Tipp either. So, Ger, who'd you go for?
Number 9, Brendan Maher.
We have Brendan on the team already. We'll give you another pick.
But sir, she give me another pick then. I might go a bit west now this time. Pat Fitzgerald.
Oh, Pat Fitzgerald. Great hurler, Pat Fitzgerald.
Pat Fitzgerald, as I tell you, in 87 below in Killarney, he was outstanding that day. But I tell you, that man got some raps that day, by God, but did he get stuck into it? And the Holy Cross man, the rest is history. He came on and did the job for us, Michael Lyle. That was some day, that day below in Killarney. But anyway, no, you're giving me that Pat Fitzgerald. Yeah, I'd have to kind of give him recognition, because even though he wasn't there too long after that, but he played a few good games now for Tipp. Back in the early 80s,
Yeah, I think he actually set up 2 of them goals for Michael Dyle in extra time that day. He intercepted one ball coming out from Richard Brown. I actually watched the game there during the week. It's kind of one of them games that the younger generation would look back at 2010 or 2016 over and over again. But say my generation, or Jerry, you'll be the generation above me. 87 is the day that we always love looking back on.
Yeah, the famine is over. Yeah, that was, that was great. It was great, But Pastor Sell he was a good hurler. It was different back then, but he was a good hurler then, you know what I mean? Different now, you can't compare today, and it's back to 87, but look, that's the way it is. Sean?
I went for Tommy Dunne. I think, instead of talking about stickman, he is the best stickman I've ever seen. I've been in every single one of his matches, and I don't ever remember him being hooked. If someone could show me a footage of him being hooked, I wouldn't believe it nearly unless I saw it, because absolutely fantastic, great leader, hurler of the year, winning captain. I think he was voted on the All-Star team at the Sunday game era as well, and that's nothing to be put away either, So Tommy Dunne definitely couldn't find a better leader, I think, than Tommy, and I think he deserved a lot more credit than he got. But I think as time goes on, I think we're appreciating him more. But so I'll go for Tommy Dunne, number 9.
Yeah, Liam?
Yeah, I'll agree with Sean. Tommy Dunne. Like Sean said it all, and Sean mentioned there about him never being hooked. And if we can remember that goal he scored against Cork in the Munster final, where he soloed through and shortened his grip from about 21 yards and stuck it in the top corner.
Great goal.
And his exhibition in the 2001 All-Ireland final was just incredible. What a player! What a brilliant player! Probably the Owen Kelly of his generation. He's underage. His tallies coming up underage, like for Tommy Barr and for Tipp, were just incredible. I'll just mention quickly Declan Carr and Colin Bonner, 2 brilliant midfielders as well. And just losing out. But Tommy and Noel, like the 2 of them, imagine the ball coming into the full forward line, or the full forward line from those 2 if they're in midfield. Yeah, Tommy Dunne, definitely.
Hey, Tomas, I'll go over Tommy Dunne, sorry.
I suppose
I like that fella enough, yeah.
That'll be Jared, there's a great story there with Tommy Dunn. Big John had him in centre back. He used to play a lot of centre back
The Hardy.
with the Harty and even Rice Cup and that. And I know you know him, Amos David from Clonakilly tells a good story that his first day going in hurling inside in Our Ladies, Big John put him in centre forward on top of Tommy Dunn. And he says it was the worst thing he could ever have done because Tommy Dunn finished his career and he never got to wear an Our Ladies jersey at all after that. Our two midfielders are Noel Mcgrath and Tommy Dunn. Now, this is going to get interesting now as we move on to the forward line. Going to be a lot of good lads in and a lot of good lads left out. Start with you, Ger. Right half forward.
Skippy Cleary.
The man from Nina.
Yeah, Michael Cleary, yeah. He was very good back in his day too, you know. I mean, a good free taker. He had a bit of pace. He was able to throw a hand pass some balls around too, you know. He was a good little player now. To me, I mean, we've back in 16, even 15, 16, 14, 17, whatever. We didn't have a great right half forward. I don't think we had, you know. So I just went for Michael Cleary because he was a good hurler and he was a good free taker, and he got his good few scores against Cork in '91, you know, when the chips were down and he threw a few good balls over the bar. And I just went for Michael Cleary because I thought he was good enough to be honest with me. That's basically it, you
know. Sean Maher.
Yeah, I know he's played a lot of his hurling at 12, but I know he's played a few matches at 10. Is John O'Brien. He was a great man to get when he got on the ball. He was a great man to like driving forward at the goal, and he was a great man taking his points. I was just watching the 2010 All Ireland there this morning, and like the points he got on that, like they're underrated. The points he got, I think he got one. He was nearly out with the sideline, and he just crisply over the bar. And he had a great set of hands on him as well. Like the high ball on top of him, and he could beat anyone 1-on-1 and stick it in the back of the net. So I've John O'Brien at 10 anyway.
Liam?
I went with Michael Cleary. Yeah, I agree with Jared. We haven't really had many brilliant number 10s, but Michael Cleary was a brilliant number 10. And actually, nowadays, if he was playing a modern game, he'd be in corner forward, probably because of his size. But he had great speed, he had great skill, he was a great free taker. Brilliant hurler. You know, it's pity. Not gonna say it's pity, but great hands as well, and very good to hand pass the ball underneath the armpit back to another player. It's one of his lovely tricks he used to often do. But a great man to get a couple of scores from play as well in every single game. Michael Cleary, yeah, definitely number 10 for me.
Scored a great goal in the 91 semi-final when Big Bonner let it off to him there at the canal end along the ground. You don't see too much ground hurling anymore.
No, but he was a great ground hurler as well. Brilliant ground hurler. Great man to left line. Yeah.
He scored a better goal in 91 in the final.
It was the one time Tipp ever got a soft free against Kilkenny, and we took advantage of it.
We made it work.
Sean, any difference or
no difference at all. I was trying to fit all the players into their positions. When I came to an open number 10, had to be Michael Cleary. He was top scorer for us in 91. To my knowledge, he's the only Tipp player to ever win 4 All-Stars in a row, 90, 91, 92, 93. He scored over 6 points a game, I think, consistently for Tipperary, and did 4 All-Stars. So I don't think you'll find many more consistent hurlers at number 10 for Tipp since the 60s. So I'll go for Michael Cleary.
Yeah, so number 10 on our team was going to be Michael Cleary and Nina. Centre forward is going to be a good one. Shamey started out there with John Carroll back there, Donny O'Connell, 87, 89. Joe Hayes gave a time there. The great Declan Ryan, Bonner Maher, with Noel Mcgrath already on the team. Noel was there. So, Sean Maher, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I was caught between John Carroll and De Bonner, but at the end of it, I went for De Bonner Maher. Like his absolute work rate was unnatural. He must have an engine inside him because, like, from the first minute to the 70th minute, he's always fighting for the ball. Like you can take, like, I think it was the Munster semi-final or the Munster final. He made must be a 60 or 70-yard run just to hook a lad. I think it was the Munster final in 16. He made that run anyway, and he hooked one of the Waterford lads, which stopped them like getting a score when they were coming on top. And like when he gets the ball in, he's a different animal. He like the 14 final, like he got a ball and he got and drove at the Kilkenny defence and he got a goal out of it. And the next time he got the very same ball, the very same drive, and he got a penalty out of it. So he once he had the ball in hand, he's never able to stop. So that's why I have the Bonner at 11. He's the real man. You can hit him a low ball, high ball, medium ball. You can hit him into rucks, and he'll always seems to come out with the ball. So I've gone with the Bonner anyway.
Yeah, nobody will ever forget that last point he got in 16 either in the All-Ireland final. We definitely know we had a one when Bonner was scoring points from 70 yards. Liam, who'd you go for?
I went with Declan Ryan. And I'll give a strong mention to the Bonner as well, because like he's the only one to compete with Declan for that position. Declan Ryan, what a player. Just like you're talking about Bonner, and Bonner will get the ball out of rucks. Declan could do all of this. What people forget about Declan is the skill level that he had. Like, you know, he was an unbelievably skillful hurler. Always get 2 or 3 points a game. Brilliant in the air. Very, very strong. Made a great full forward in 2001. I think, is it because the way we were beating in the All-Ireland semi-final when he was a manager, I think people kind of forget about his career as a player. He's an absolutely brilliant hurler, you know, and I think he'd be brilliant in our half-forward line if he was playing in the current team as well. Like, so Declan Ryan is my number then.
Yeah. Sean?
First Westman in the team, and he should be one of the most guaranteed players in the team, Declan Ryan. 3 All-Irelands in 3 decades. Not many people have done that. I don't think we would have won the All-Ireland in 2001 without him. I think we needed his experience and his level head coming into the last 2 minutes of games, especially the drawn game against Wexford. And in my opinion, I love the Bonner. I don't think there's many players that have been as consistent over the last 10 years as Bonner. But I don't think we've ever replaced Declan Ryan at centre forward for his ability to win the ball in the air and his ability to give the ball off and his ability to score. And I don't think we've ever replaced him since. So definitely Declan Ryan.
Ger, anybody different?
No, Declan Ryan, without a shadow of a doubt.
Is it fair to say, Ger, he's probably one of Tipp's greatest ever centre forwards?
Yeah, we've never replaced him. No disrespect to Bonner, but we've never. Declan Ryan was a serious centre forward, hurling centre forward. His vision when he had the ball in his hand was exceptional too, you know. I mean, he wasn't a Bonner type player. Bonner would get a ball, he'd run, and Declan would always either get a score or he'd find someone in a better position. So I think he was the best centre forward. We never replaced him, I think. No disrespect to Bonner, like I said, but Declan Ryan was serious centre forward.
Bonner's played a lot of his games at wing forward, you know.
Yeah. He never kept that position, kind of.
Yeah, and I suppose Declan Ryan, he kind of welcomed Jim Cashman to Thurles in 91. The difference between winning and losing a Munster final, maybe. So, well, it looks like we're unanimous there. Declan Ryan is going to be our centre forward. No, left half forward now. So, Ger, we'll start with you.
Johnny Lehi.
Man from Mullinahone.
Yeah. Sure goes without saying, like, can you tell me anyone that has filled that position since he finished up?
Yeah, well, he was a fair one, all right. I suppose some lads remember him from 97 missing the goal in the Munster final.
And the All-Ireland, yeah, but
what some people seem to forget is Lehi scored 3 points from play that day in the Munster final, and he scored 4 against Cleary in the All-Ireland. And you have to remember the All Ireland. I know Brian Lohan was coming in at the corner of his eye, but Lehi was after recovering from a broken jaw from the All Ireland semi-final. So whether that played in his mind or not, but a lot of lads go back to that. But he definitely one of the best hurlers I've ever seen anyway. So, and there was just a special awe about him when he got on the ball. Like, so, Liam, I suppose, who'd you go for?
Well, this is again agreeing with Jared, John Lehi all day. Yeah. And it's actually amazing you mentioned 97. And I actually think 98, 99, 2000, he really stepped up as the leader. I suppose a few of the older players were retiring and were going, and Lehi just stepped up and he started taking frees and sidelines and everything. And I keep saying it. Imagine what he would be like in our current team. Like we've been struggling for a half forward line for a couple of years. How many balls you see catch out here? He'd soar above a fella to catch a ball. I haven't seen a better wing forward for Tipp to catch a ball than him. Brilliant player.
Yeah, he also scored 9 points from play in the 93. The 94 league final, and he picked up an injury with the footballers the following week.
That's right.
Probably the difference. There's probably the difference in 94. I know Clare caught him on the hop, but 94 was an All Ireland that could have easily won if Lehi had to have been fully fit. Like, Sean Maher, who'd you go for left half forward?
Yeah, I agree with Joran Liam. John Lehi. The boys have said enough. I don't think I can add any more. He was just an outstanding hurler, and I think if you had him in the Tipp team over the last 10 years, Tipp would be winning All Ireland nearly every year, every second year. He's just what Tipp need now in the team is a hurler like him, and I don't think there'll be ever a hurler like him again for a while. So I've gone with John Lehi.
Sean, well on.
I'm not going to change the record, John Lehi. I would not go to war without John Lehi. Brilliant player. There's nothing really else I can say, really. Just he's brilliant. John Lehi. Nothing. I don't think any else can be said.
Yeah, well, John Lehi, it's unanimous. That's our half forward line complete. We have Michael Cleary at 10, the great Declan Ryan centre forward, and as he was known in One to Home, the baby Jesus called John Lehi at left half forward. Top of the right now is going to be an interesting one. We've had some great corner forwards, lads. Liam, I'll throw it open to you.
Well, I think this is easy for me anyway. Like he's my favourite hurler ever. Owen Kelly. Same age as me as well. I remember seeing him for the first time over in the hurling field in Holy Cross, under 14 county final. And Mullinahone won by 4-13 to 3-5, and he scored 4-11 at under 14. And he's just always been an incredible hurler. And I was delighted he lifted the trophy in 2010 because he's one of these fellas. He doesn't get the recognition he deserves because he doesn't have the medals. Unfortunately, he was part of a team that were probably in transition for most of the noughties. He carried Tipp. He made Tipp competitive in the forward line because it didn't. I know Lar was there and there's John O'Brien and a few others, but they weren't at Owen's level. He made Tipp competitive during those years when we shouldn't have been. And I think one of the best sights ever is to see him lifting the trophy after depriving Kilkenny of 5 in a row in the Hogan stand. And Owen Kelly's my number 13.
Sean, well on.
With the selection process, there could be 2, but there's definitely, in my opinion, only one, and it's the Son of God, as they used to call him, and in the terraces that he used to play, Owen Kelly, 6 All-Stars. But the best hurler I've ever seen, honestly. The only player with 2 Young Hurler of the Year awards. I think he averaged 9 or 10 points a game, which even back 20 years ago was still a lot. And someone said to me, no wonder Owen Kelly had many back injuries when he was carrying the Tipp team for half a decade. So definitely the best hurler I've seen out of any county. And that's not me being biased to Tipperary now, but the best hurler I've seen in the last 20 years, Owen Kelly. He got on any team in history, in my opinion.
Sean Maher.
Yeah, I'm going. You go Owen Kelly, the Son of God. Like I know, like in 2010 it was probably like he's probably it was just such a bittersweet moment. You see him lifting the cup, and after, like, as Dubai said, all he's given for Tipp, even during the dire years, he's always hard for the best visibility, and he gave nothing less than 100% for Tipp. And even in his older years, I know when the legs started to go, he still had the brain and everything. Even there, you might know this as well, Tomas, when we played in Clonaghy, played Mullinahone this year, the brain IQ he had was, I know, is he 39 or 40, is he? Or, like, he still has that brain IQ that he had in the year in 2010. So for me, Owen Kelly has to be one of Tipp's best ever hurlers.
Yeah, sure.
You're all calling him the son of God. I call him God. Goes without saying it. Anytime I used to meet him, he used to call me Chief. How you going, Chief? He used to say to me. But no, he's like, glad to be talking about Henry Shefflin. I mean, like, to me, he was the best ever on the planet, best forward ever to grace the hurling field, without a shadow of a doubt. He was exceptional. He was just brilliant. That's all I'm going to say about him.
Yeah, Chair, I remember myself and yourself, we were having a My Waddy in Butlers one evening, and Eamon Corcoran was there in our company, and the conversation came on to hurling, and we asked him who the greatest hurler he ever played with. And without batting an eyelid, you came back up with this, and he said Kelly. And I turned around to him and I said, you played with Henry Shefflin. He says, yeah, but Kelly didn't have the same players around him than what Shefflin did. He said, if Owen Kelly had half the medals that Henry Shefflin had, he'd be talked about as one of the all-time greats, and he should be put into that era, and all them that the Henry Shefflins, the Eddie Hares, Francis Loughnans, and so on and so forth. Owen Kelly is definitely up with them in my book, anyway.
Yeah, so, would Henry have 10 All-Ireland medals if he was playing with Lehi?
Yeah, true.
All disrespect to Lehi, you know what I mean? Like, Henry played with a great team that time, you know.
Would he have 10 All-Ireland medals, Jared, if he was playing with the Tipp team from the 2001 to 2008? No.
That's what I'm saying, you know. Like, he was just lucky to be with a great team. In fairness, like, you can't take it away from him. But if he had been playing with Galway or anyone like that, he would. If he was playing with Tipp, he wouldn't have 10 All-Ireland medals. No. That's the way it was, you know. Yeah. But anyway, Owen Kelly, to me, Henry Shefflin wouldn't lace his boots. Anyway, next.
I suppose, obviously, we've Kelly picked there, but before we go any further, obviously, a few lads are going to be asking about Pat Fox. So, I suppose he's just unlucky that himself and Kelly are going for the same position, but it'd be remiss of us not to speak about Fox before we go on. Like, Fox always produced it on the back there.
Brilliant, good man, Sean. He was a brilliant cornerback. I remember him playing in '85 against Clare and Thurles, cornerback, Pat Fox.
But he was another one of these forwards or another one of these backmen that perhaps made a great forward out. Like, Michael Cleary played all these underage hurling in the back line as well. He was a minor wing back. Like, so I suppose, Pat, we'll give you number 17. So,
yeah. What about number 16, Tomas?
Well, sure, that'll have to go to Darren Cleese. So, the full forward one now, lads. I suppose we had Big Butter there for a good few years, and Kelly was there. But I suppose I'll let Sean Maher, you open up this conversation. I suppose there's only one man for you, is there?
Well, you know my answer, Tomas, even before you asked me this question. Anyone that knows me knows who I'm going to pick anyway, and it has to be Shamie Callan for me. The stick this man has taken throughout in his early career, he's like, every time Tipp have gone bad, is Shamie Callan has gone missing, where's Shamie Callan and all this. But since, you could say, 14, the man has turned inside out. He's a danger man for Tipp. He's the big target man. You could take it 15, the semi-final 15, you could say that match alone, when no one else was hurling for Tipp, Shamie stands up and he scores 3-8 against a Galway team. They went on to shove it into Kilkenny. Last year, or 2019, he scored 8 goals in every match. Like, who's done that and who will do it again? 16, as Tomas, you said it, you've known on the podcast, saying it's one of the best ever performances in an All-Ireland final. So do I need to speak anymore? My 14 is Shamey.
Sean, number 2.
Micheál Webster for his pat on Davy Fitz's-head against Clare. No, I'll go for Shamey Callan, of course. Nobody has scored more goals in Tipperary history than him. Should have been player in the year in 16. Well, him or Paddy. I don't think Austin Gleeson really deserved it, but definitely deserved it more than Austin. A player of the year in 19, 4 All-Stars, could have got more. Would get on any Tipperary team that ever existed, I think, in full forward. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, Liam?
Shamey Callan. What a player he's turned into. And I know Sean Maher was saying that he gets a lot of stick. He got a lot of stick. I think he still gets a lot of stick, and I think he doesn't get the recognition that he deserves. The scores he's put, like the amount of scores he's got from play. Like, was he 35 goals, has he? And every single one of them from play. Like, you know, you see Owen Kelly and them have 21 or 2 goals, but a lot of them are frees. But 35 goals from play, and then a rake of points to go to as well, including 9 points in our Ireland final from play. Like, Shamey definitely full forward. What a player! And I've started to think that his last few years he deserves to be mentioned in the upper echelon of Tipperary hurlers, because the scores he's put up. You know, if Owen Kelly was putting those scores up, and I love Owen Kelly, but like we'd be going on and on and on about him, and I think Shamey is up there. Is up there at that level. You know.
Yeah, Jar.
You're all forgetting no lads, Bobby Ryan below in Killarney in 87.
Well, I think Nicky told him to get away from that ball. Or
go
that
away,
ball
right. No, sure that.
I think there's only 2 people here that remember that match. Like, you know.
I watched on video.
We'll send you on the link. Did you not look at the links I gave you for the research, Liam? No,
I only looked at the Michael Doyle's goals at the end there.
No, Shamey Callan, lads. I mean, you could, like, again, he came on the scene in 2008, was it?
Yeah.
2008.
And he was wing forward and was tried him centre forward, but like, he's the best full forward in the country, without a shadow of a doubt, and he deserved hurler of the year. Deserved it, you know what I mean? Like, he's an idol for Tipperary hurling. Is that the right word I use?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's top of the range. And the goal he scored against Wexford, the day that referee from Kilkenny didn't want us to win. That was, you know what I mean? That was exceptional, like, that goal.
It's surprising that goal isn't talked about more often. That, like, the ball was running away from him when he
goal,
pulled on the ground.
I think that's the best goal he's ever scored now. And I mean, he scored 35 or 36 goals and 258 points or something. Like, that goal, I mean, I haven't seen a goal scored like that in years. Going away from a goal like that and buried it, like. You know, who else to do it? Maybe Joe Canning might. Maybe. Yeah. But Shamey, we don't need man to do that. Shamey for me, anyway.
Yeah, I suppose.
Just before you move on, just to sum up Shamey as the man, like, the start 19 there, when he was given the captain, he was on the freeze and everything, and when he knew himself that the freeze weren't going for him, instead of staying on and being selfish, going looking for the big scores, he handed him over to Jason Ford, and he's still going over to score 8 goals. That just sums up the man he is, and he's a pure gentleman outside of hurling as well. So,
yeah, well, like Sean says that, just out of hurling, one thing that'll always stick with me with Shamey Callan was in the rag after the All-Ireland, and Shamey Callan, after the year he was after having no greater honour than to lift Lee McCarthy, he could have been arrogant, but he made time for every man, woman and child in the rag after the All-Ireland, both Monday and Tuesday. He welcomed them all, he thanked them all for coming, and that just shows you the man that he is. Great hurler, but an unbelievable gentleman as well. So, our number 14.
Can you remember them nights, Jan?
You can remember going in.
Lads, is this live? Can we edit?
So, you're all right.
Our number 14, obviously, is the one and only Shamey Callan. at the last position on the team, and it's going to create a lot of debate. We've had some great number 15s. And Chair, I leave it open to you to begin the conversation on this position.
The Latin Cullen man, for me anyway. He was some hurler by. You know, he was different gravy altogether. I mean, the goal he scored against Ger Cunningham, and Ger Cunningham was the best goalkeeper back in the day when Nicky English kicked that ball past him. I mean, you wouldn't kick a football the way he kicked a sliotar, like.
Maradona wouldn't have done it.
He wouldn't have, Sean. You're dead right, but it was some goal, like. But the punishment that English took and the scores that he got, like, to me back then, Nicky English was God. But then Owen Kelly came on. But that's the way it is now, you know. Nicky for me.
But just before we move on to the rest of the lads, Jared, that goal in 87.
Yeah.
As the man himself says, Joe Hayes, it was the ball that was let into him is what made the goal.
Joe mishit that.
I think he was going for a pint.
Yeah. Joe was going for a pint, yeah.
Yeah. So, Liam?
Yeah, Nicky English. I just he was like Ger mentioned, Owen Kelly, son of God. Yeah, and Nicky English being God, absolutely. That must make Lehi's baby Jesus, and then Shane McCallum must be the Messiah. But Nicky English, yeah, what a player. Just that goal against Antrim to seal 2 goals in 12 points. A 14-yard double off the ground, like Shamey's goal, on the run at full speed.
Yeah.
And what's mad about Nicky is, like, I just remember, I remember him from the late 80s to 1996. You know, and he had a lot of injuries in the 90s. But I'd love to have seen him, you know, all the games that weren't televised. I'd love to have seen all the games through the early 80s and that when he won 3 All-Stars before I'd even seen him play. You know what I mean? And a lot of them at wing forward as well. So I'd love to have seen that. Brilliant player, brilliant hurler. Just, you know, we used to try and replicate it out to front, just turn and barely look over the shoulder and flick the ball over the bar. Like, absolute class. Owen Kelly and Nicky English. Like, there's very little between them for me. Yeah.
Sean Maher.
Yeah, as you said, the 15 was going to bring up a few. Like you had Larry Corbett there, and you can even say John Mcgrath there. But I'm going to stick with the boys. I'm going with Nicky English. I know I'd never seen much of him. He was well before my time, but just from watching him on YouTube, the stuff he was doing was next generation stuff. Like, he was a pure class hurler, and as the boys said, we would be talking to him if he was on the Tipp team again. This generation team, he would definitely have an All-Ireland every year. He was just a class. And then to come back then as manager and win an All-Ireland as a manager is just class, like. So Nicky English in 15.
Yeah. Sean?
It's amazing. He's the only player we're talking about that's on the Tipp team of the century. And we've talked about a lot of 80s players. But when you're put in, I think that was done in 84. And when it's the highest honour that a team of the century done in 84, and Nicky English was only on the team a handful of years and he was put onto it. I think that shows what the kind of player he was. The highest score in All Ireland final, man of the match, hurler of the year. He is everything. And just in terms of, I always think he had the edge over Kelly in terms of his brain. I think Nicky English was a smarter hurler, and Owen Kelly is a genius, but I think Nicky English was even a bit smarter than Owen Kelly. He'd go for the point when there was a goal on. There was half a chance he'd stick it over the bar and just keep going, you know. I think Nicky English is probably the greatest Tipp forward, probably the second greatest Tipp forward in my opinion of all time, bar Jimmy Doyle. I'd have Nicky English second and Owen Kelly third. Some people might put Owen Kelly second, but I put Nicky English second.
Yeah, so what a lot of people don't realise either is Nicky English was a junior hurler when he was producing all this with Tipp at the highest level. Yeah. So.
Yes. I think we have to mention Lar and John Mcgrath, like Sean did as well. Like so, and same as Pat Fox, just so unlucky to lose out. But John Mcgrath has a few more years. You know, I'll just mention one hurler there, Tomas, that we're talking about all these great hurlers, but Paddy, Brendan, and Noel came through on that great under-21 team. But a fella, if he hadn't been injured, I think we'd probably be definitely talking about him here, would be Seamus Hennessy. Like the injuries he's had. Like, he was as good as those 3 boys. And I think we would be talking about him here if he hadn't had those injuries. So I think we should give him a mention anyway.
Yeah, in 2010 against Kilkenny, he was brilliant when he came on.
Yeah.
And he also gave a great speech down in 2008 in Ennis, thanking the referee and his officials after. But as we said, the goalkeeper was born 2 or 3 times before that, so the right decision was made. But
I reckon if he was playing with us, Tomas, we would have won more than just that 2010 Ireland. We would have won a couple more, I think.
Yeah, we would have.
Yeah.
Another player unlucky on that team was Dennis Maher as well, getting injured as well.
Yeah.
Lucky, I think, as well to miss out there. I know he just didn't fall, but when he hits his form, I think Bubbles Dwyer is one of the most skillful hurlers out there. I think brilliant. Like the stuff in 19 he did was like against Wexford, even when the chips were down and John Mcgrath got sent off, he's scoring points. He's running out over the sideline. He just flick of the wrist and over the bar. Like even the ball he hit over to Jason Ford in the final. So pure pinpoint accuracy. He could have went for his own score. He stepped 2 men, crossed to Jason Ford and over the bar, and it's just brilliant stuff to see. And I know he has more in the tank and everything, and people might say his outside hurling problems, but once he's focusing, he's one of Tipp's best hurlers, I think.
When he's on form, he's unstoppable.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Some terrorists on him, all right, yeah.
Just looking at the team, lads, and we've obviously left out a good few. We could only have 15, but when you look at the calibre of hurlers we have had down through the years, with no Fox, with no Corbett on it, as you said, Bubbles and John Mcgrath, Shane Mcgrath, another one to look at, Bonner, Conor O'Mahony. The list is endless, and that's what makes this so interesting. That this debate will go on for a long time again after it. So. Hopefully, in 5 or 6 years' time, we'll be having the same conversation again with a couple of more All Irelands with us as well.
Try pick a free taker out them forwards.
There shouldn't be any debate. That's the best Tipperary team ever.
Who would you have as captain, Chair?
You caught me on the hop there. I suppose. And I can't say Emma Corcoran would be biased. I'd have to say captain, there'd be two lads in my head now straight away, and should Brendan Maher be one or Owen Kelly be the other, between the two of them, a toss of a coin.
It's a team of leaders there, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Paddy entry, you could put Paddy into the pot as well, it's very hard to. But I think myself, Owen would be. He proved it in century. He was really, the real deal. So I think he was the business.
Liam.
Yeah, Owen Kelly. Yeah, Owen Kelly, the captain, Nicky vice captain, and Nicky would be the manager as well. Yeah.
Player manager.
Player manager, yeah.
Player manager, yeah.
Good team. Actually, there's so many subs there, Tomas, he wouldn't have to do too much of the work, so.
Let them try themselves.
You could put Pat Fox in there as well, then.
Yeah. We'll have to find a place for Joe Hayes. We'll need a social captain.
But Joe, no, Joe could carry the water.
Holy water. Lads, we'll leave it there. Thanks a million for being on the show. So there you have it. Great debate, and no doubt the debate will go on for a long time to come. Don't forget to send in your team to us and get involved in the conversation on any of our social media channels. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and email us at contactckstreaming@gmail.com. We'll talk to you again very soon. Good luck.